TG Geeks, episode 173, June 11th, 2018. Time is running out to pre-order The Last Sun. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, and we've recorded this one prior to so that we can be in LA this weekend, or this last weekend.
Oh, well, you just took the steam out of my little joke.
Sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say I'm Ben Raggington coming to you from time-shifted L.A.
Ah, well, there you go.
But actually Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, we are recording this episode 1 week early because we're going to be in Los Angeles at the time we would normally be recording this for a special event. But that's another story altogether.
Yeah, and I said that your time is running out to pre-order The Last Sun after this episode, and then 24 hours or less than 24 hours after this.
It will be released.
It will be released, and then it will be a purchase, not a pre-order anymore. And we've got Katie Edwards back to talk about his excitement of this release, so we're going to get right to it. And we welcome back a guest this time, Mr. Katie Edwards. He is the author of The Last Sun that is released. Yeah, it's releasing tomorrow. So welcome, Keith. How are you today?
I am doing very well, thank you. I'm very happy to be back.
Yeah. So your book is releasing tomorrow. Tell us, how excited are you about this?
Oh, I am a bit numb. I mean, it feels like I've been working to this moment for about a year now, so to have it finally upon me, it's indescribable. I just can't. Every time I read a new review or, see another person has contributed something to either connected with me through Twitter or posted a review on Goodreads, it's surreal. I literally have almost no words for it.
Yeah. In fact, I just saw a review this morning on Twitter. Somebody, I can't remember her name, but she did like a 1,200-word review and gave a 10 out of 10. I mean, every time I turn around and see a review for an early read of Last Sun, I mean, it's always like super glowing.
Yeah, I've been really lucky so far. I'm pretty sure that I will stop reading reviews online at the moment I hit one that makes me curl up and cry in a corner. But
yeah, don't we all?
It's going to happen because there's just going to be people that,
it's not going to appeal to.
There will be people, if every single person in the world were a devout Christian, there would be somebody that would post a negative review of the Bible,
Oh.
It happens. It happens. So
yeah, I absolutely know it's coming.
It's not
now up until this point. Really, it's just been a dream. It's just been perfect.
And just remember, those reviews are not about you.
Oh, but there's going to be some idiot who'll try to make it about him.
Yeah, but don't listen to them.
I mean, but they're wrong.
Exactly. You're a nice guy.
Part of the good thing, though, is that I don't really have time to get too caught up in this because the manuscript is due for book 2, and they're only the original. I mean, when they first put it online for pre-order on Amazon, they said it was going to come out in September, which
I saw that
always seemed like 3 months between books. That's crazy.
I mean, not that I'm complaining, but I figured it'd make life a bit crazy for you.
Well, yeah, it just seems like there's so much to do to get ready for a book coming out. But so they pushed the on-sale date for book 2 to January. So, I mean, that's perfect for me because I feel like I'm getting started publishing these books a little bit later in my life. So I am perfectly happy not waiting a year between books. 7 months, perfect.
Yeah. Well, another one of our good, close author friends, Jeannie Koch in Atlanta, I mean, her books come out roughly 6 months apart of her Catherine Alien series. So, yeah, it's about 6 or 7 months, assuming nothing derails her. So that's I think that's a good schedule. 2 books a year.
And I mean the whole series is plotted out. I want to tell 9 books worth, so we'll see if my publishers puts up with me that long, but I'm excited about. So it's my whole focus, my whole world right now is basically on The Hangman, the next one.
Right. So for those that are listening that have no clue who you are and what you're writing, let's do a recap. We got some of the pleasantries out of the way, but because we've talked to you before. But tell us, our listeners, who you are if they're tuning in for the very first time, and what you've written.
Sure. This is my debut publishing experience. The novel is called The Last Sun. It's the first novel in a series called The Tarot Sequence. I guess I call the genre modern fantasy, but a lot of people who are technically into all the fantasy genres probably call it either speculative fiction or urban fantasy. It kind of reimagines the world as we know it, the modern world as we know it, and presumes that Atlantis always existed. And about 30 or 40 years ago, Atlantis and the human worlds got into a war, and Atlantis was destroyed, and the Atlanteans resettled on the island of Nantucket. That's all the backstory. The modern story is it focuses on one character, the prince of a fallen court, and his experiences on that island. And I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. Honestly, The thing that amazes me most of all is how better other people do at describing my novel than I do.
Yeah. Well, I called it, it's like a D&D quest with cell phones and cars.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of people have talked to me about, like, so are you influenced by RPGs? And I'm like, are you kidding me? The whole series. I'm literally, it's like I'm
does.
It
is. No, it really does have an
it's
RPG.
a campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the way that I was kind of reading it. Especially, Keith and I got early copies, so we could write reviews for them. So the very last section of Last Sun really felt like I was watching, or seeing an RPG game just literally play out in front of my eyes. I mean, it was maybe that's one of the reasons why I just took to it so quickly at that point.
Yeah, I have. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It was a labor of love. Like I have a lot of novels sitting in a drawer that will never see the light of day just to get ready to the point where I could write something like this. This is the one of the best writing experiences I've ever had.
So tell me, has the publisher let you in on how the pre-sales are going or the pre-orders?
I haven't asked that question because the moment I ask it, I'm going to get an answer.
I see.
I'm perfectly okay keeping it in my head right now. I know that. The only people I've really interfaced with are the PR people, and they've been very happy with everything. We just about 3 weeks ago, I got my first starred review in Library Journal, which was
I saw that.
just, mind-blowing for me. Library Journal, that's the trade magazine that librarians use, and to think it might influence this book actually being in libraries. So I remember what my own experience was growing up, 15, 16 years old, not really having a steady income, relying on the library, and also trying to find positive representations of gay men. It just to think that someone like me could find something like this is amazing. So from that angle, I know that a lot of positive stuff is happening. I mean, I know libraries are ordering it. The reviews have been really good so far, but I haven't asked the specific question how it's doing. They just seem pretty excited with me.
Well, that's good. Now, you said that a positive roles of gay men, and I just want to say, and I'm not downplaying anything, but the gay aspect of this book is very understated. I mean, it's just about life. It's just, oh, okay.
It's so not in your face.
We have this wonderful thing, all this stuff going on, and they just happen to be gay.
Right. I mean, so it's not something.
It really is. The way you've done it is very tasteful, and nobody should be turned off by it at all.
No, it's just simply something that is there, as opposed to putting it up and like shoving it into someone's face like that. No, it's just simply a part of the entire fabric of the universe that you've written, and I think that's one of the reasons, yet another reason why I found the book to be so unbelievably enjoyable.
And it's very positive. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
It's more than positive. Holy cow! Really? I mean, it's beautiful.
Well, that's definitely you'd asked about who I am as a writer and introducing myself to people, I would say that one of the things I set out to do was to write just mainstream novels. I mean, the exact novels that I love reading myself, the Jim Butcher and the Ilona Andrews and all the other great urban fantasy series out there. I wanted to do that, but I wanted it to be with a main character who just happened to be gay. And I want to do that with many genres. I can't wait to write my first zombie book, and I can't wait to write a young adult story. And I always want to do it around either, a main character or one of the main characters who just happens to be gay. That's how I always describe it, who just happens
gay
to be
zombie.
gay.
I know, I was going to gay zombie. It's like, okay, that's a whole new level of
Let's
fetish.
not go there.
That's a whole new fetish, I'm sure. And man, the cosplayers are going to go mad on that one, I tell you.
So tell us what the process is of what did you do first? You had this manuscript. Did you find an agent first, or did you find, a publisher first, or what was it? So,
yeah, I think that my experience definitely is not a lot of people's experience. I owe many, many thanks. I must have done really good things in past lives because my karma was pretty good on this process. I'm a member of a writing group, so and kind of the process of me telling you this is really the people who I'm acknowledging in the acknowledgement section of the book, because they were so key getting me to this point. I'm a part of a writing group, and the writing group is filled with just amazing people who've been plugged into my writing, and I've been plugged into their writing for years. And three of us now are published. One of the others did very well. His name is Scott. He does the Nixia trilogy, a young adult series, and he knew my agent. And he had sort of made the introduction between me and Sarah Megabaugh at KT Literary. And so I was able to almost kind of hopscotch over the query step and send the first 50 pages, and I did. And within, I think, about 3 days, she contacted me and asked for the whole manuscript.
Oh, wow.
And that was on a Friday. And Monday morning, she called me on the phone and asked to represent me. And by Monday night, she was sending my manuscript out to publishers.
Far out.
I bet your head just spun after all of that.
She is, I have no words to describe what an amazing agent she is. She's savvy. She knows the industry. I literally cannot explain what it's like to have an agent in your life who's so positive and affirming and supportive. And literally she said the manuscript is ready to go. She had no offer changes. Within that night, we did a handshake deal, and she was sending it out to publishers. And the publisher we settled on was with Pyre, and I could not have asked for more. I mean, I was the one in the beginning who was saying, do you really think there's an audience for this, to have a main character who just happens to be gay? And everyone else was telling me that this is a mainstream story. There is an audience for it. That's not what we're focusing on. And
exactly.
Pyre in particular, they didn't even raise the issue until I forced it on them to ask them if they had any problems with it.
Well, that's good. It says something about the story. It says that the story is mainstream, and it's very positive, and he just happens to be gay. It's like, okay. So
the whole
it happens in life.
And all the people I've interacted with have, I think, also liked the story, which is, so we're not just kind of relating to each other as, a business relationship, but they actually kind of like my writing and the process of what it took me to get there. So my editor at Pyre, Rini Sears, is extraordinary. The illustrator who did it, Micah Epstein, is fantastic. I've just had such a great experience doing this. I don't think that's everyone's experience, but it certainly was mine.
Well, that's good for you. So I was going to say that Sarah is quite witty on Twitter as well. So
she's amazing. She knows everyone too. She's just I am so blessed that I wound up with her as an agent.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So,
but
again, go ahead.
No, now my goal is to keep on delivering, good projects to her. So that's one of the things when you're working with people you really respect. Part of your goal is to impress them. So
absolutely.
Well, I have no doubt that you'll be able to do that based on some of the things that you shared on Twitter. So again, for anybody who's hearing this interview, like they're just coming into our show and they're hearing from you for the first time, where did you get the idea for the tarot sequence?
I think that part of it, I've always been drawn to the kind of the mythology of tarot cards. I think they're just, gorgeous archetypes of the human condition. And I've always been drawn to deep world building. I love shows that have incredibly deep, complex world building, but also it's so accessible that as either a reader or as an audience member or TV watcher or whatever it might be, you don't feel stupid. You feel like you can follow along with what they're showing you and still be amazed, almost like a tourist in another land. And kind of combining those two, mixing the tarot cards with deep world building, that gave me the basis of, like in RPG terms, that's my world and that's my magic system.
Right.
And then the story around it was, I can't even remember when it came up. The heart of it was figuring out the two main characters, Rune and Bran. The moment I had that, everything fell into place.
Well, and for everybody that's hearing this, you have to pick up this book simply for Bran's just exclamations and his attitude.
Although we do need to say the language in this book, especially from Brand, is colorful.
Colorful. Yes.
It's extremely colorful.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't quote Brand without using asterisks.
No,
Exactly.
I know. Bleep, 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 bleep.
Oh, Lord.
The heart of the novel is the way those two interact. And
Absolutely.
I am so lucky to have them in my head. It entertains me forget what I'm trying to do for readers. It's just a joy to write dialogue with them.
Right.
So how now? Okay, so let's ask this. Now you just you made a mention of the manuscript for The Hanged Man, and I thought I read on Twitter like yesterday that you just turned in the first manuscript to the publisher or the editor.
So they've read the first huge chunk of it, and it went very well. Tarini Sears, my editor, and it went very well. She's very excited about it, I think. And I'm working to finish the last bit of it, and it's been a bit of an anxious process because it's due, and I know that there's an on-sale date. I know that you can pre-order it, so it's something that has to get done. But over the weekend, I just had this epiphany. Like, out of nowhere, I realized there's nothing anxious about this process. Everything's been going well, and literally, the jokes I'm writing yesterday are going to be in people's hands in January. I think there's something amazing about that, and it's turned into kind of a source of energy and motivation for me to finish it. But I think of the Twitter I said, talk about instant gratification. Literally, what I am writing right now will be in people's hands by January.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so all of a sudden, anxiety just in a second vanished, and it's all about exhilaration now.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is, now that you've actually written as much as you have, obviously Last Sun is completed. You've got a lot of Hanged Man, manuscripts already done for that. So now you've actually managed to write all this dialogue going on between Rune and Brand, our two main protagonists. So now that these characters, you've been writing so much about them, how loudly are they screaming in your head now?
Oh, you have no idea. I think part of the reason that it goes so well, it's because, Rune is the opportunity to say really powerful and dramatic moments. Brand is the ability to say things I would never say out loud. I would never say to another human being.
He's
so
your
I
id.
kind of live vicariously through. Like when I get cut off in line at the grocery store, Brand's speaking in my head. So, and I'm not kidding. I'll even write down what he says sometimes because I'm like, yep, that's going to be a line in chapter 4.
Okay, that is just awesome.
I can't imagine what was going on when the one quote.
Oh, the one quote?
That quote.
Horsefire, huh? Yeah, we keep wondering about that. What the blazes happened to you that would have Brand speak to you in that manner?
Yeah, it is a joy to write his dialogue. I can't wait for if I get the chance to write it. Novel 4 is going to be a road trip novel. It's set part of it in America, and I just literally cannot wait the first time Brand gets cut off in traffic, or he goes to a really southern bar.
Oh dear!
Oh no!
Those scenes.
You're just waiting to find out how Brand is going to react, eh? Is that it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say that these characters really, they've become fully realized in your head now. I mean, it's not just, I mean, they're like aspects of yourself now.
Oh, absolutely. I'm one of the. You have a lot of people who talk about whether you plan it or pants it when you're writing books. Whether you kind of fly by the seat of your pants or whether you're an intricate planner. And I'm an outliner, so I've got well over 200,000. I think approaching 300,000 words of brainstorming notes for the entire series. So whenever anything occurs to me, it goes down in writing, including the dialogue between the two. I'll be driving and I'll think of an interaction between the two, and because I know the general themes of every book that I want to do in the series, I know which novel that dialogue would go in best. So some of the funniest things I think I want them to say aren't even going to be said for about 4 books down the road or 5 books down the road.
Wow.
But for me, for that is a safety net for me. That's why I talk about finishing the Hangman, but really it's not so much writing anything from scratch, because the remainder of the outline itself is 40,000 words.
Right.
I've got to write about another 70,000 words. So the outline is so thick and it's filled with so many details and snippets of dialogue and description that it's really just putting the meat around it so much than writing it.
So,
Yeah.
but the thing that I'm really curious about is because you mentioned the two types. How did you describe it? The two types of writers.
Rune is like he's my hero voice, and Brand is the you can't say that out loud voice.
Well, no, actually, I was referring to the two types of writers.
Oh, the pantser and the planner. Yeah,
Right.
outliners are.
I kind of think that one of the most successful writers would be those that actually embrace a bit of both. I mean, clearly you need to have some kind of a guideline, some kind of a framework to understand where it is the direction you're going to go. But every once in a while, I have to believe that there's got to be some moment of spontaneity that also helps to drive it, possibly even in a new direction. I mean, going back to our other author friend, Jeannie Koch. I mean, she makes reference to how she intended for this story to go a particular way, and one of the main characters in her head started saying, no, not that way, this way. And it went back and forth between her and this character in her head. And she finally had to give way because she knew that she would never get any further if she wanted to do it her way. She needed to do it the character's way.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. You have to build flexibility in any outline you do, because, and also one of the things you find is that sometimes you're in the middle of writing dialogue and you realize there's something else completely going on in the scene than you even expected. And what's worse is when you figure it out. Well, not worse. What's best is when you figure it out, it actually makes sense. You're like, oh my God, I've been building up to this moment. How did I not see this in front of me? This is exactly what's going on and why they're upset with each other. And you've got to be willing to change direction. Even in as detailed as the outline is, even yesterday itself, I ended up cutting out a chapter ahead of me because I know I didn't need it. All of a sudden, the plot came together in such a perfect way that I was already driving in a direction I didn't need to add another chapter to get there.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So tell us where we can find, or our listeners can find your book, and all of the details, and anybody else that you want to thank or give a shout out to at this point, and where you can be found on the intertubes.
Yeah, all the social media presence.
Sure. I'm on Twitter at, oh God, you'd think you'd know your Twitter handle off the top of your head, wouldn't you?
It's like Katie Edwards underscore NC, I think.
Thank you, guys. The pre-order is available through Barnes & Noble and Amazon. It's through independent booksellers, libraries ordering it. So you can definitely go on Amazon, for instance, to see both book 1 and 2 are up for pre-order right now.
And it is available on the Kindle.
It's absolutely on the Kindle. It's in a sort of a really nice paperback edition, and it's also in Kindle format. Very happy with the way. I just got my first box of free books about 2 days ago, so I got to see what it looked like, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yay!
As for other people to thank, I've already talked about Sarah Megabau and Renee Sears and Pyre. I think people like you I would thank. I mean, going on this podcast has been one of the best experiences of it. The review that came out this morning, her name is Kathy. Her website is Pages Below the Vaulted Sky. I mean, like her review, and she's done some actual artwork on the characters. Things like that just blow me away. I mean, response I'm getting from people I never knew who just connected with me through the story.
Yeah, and Ben's going to publish his review of The Last Son for tomorrow on the book release day. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see it.
And, well, thank you so much
Al,
for being with us again.
yes, it was wonderful being able to talk to you again.
Give you another opportunity to talk about your book and your excitement, and because we really love the book. I mean, we're going to buy 2 more copies of it and probably a couple of hard copies.
Right. I mean, and again, to anybody who's listening to us out there, we're not trying to paint this or look at this with rose-colored glasses. I mean, seriously, we loved this book.
And I can't wait for Hanged Man.
Oh, I am like chomping at the bit for Hanged Man. But yet, Last Son, please, people, get this book. It was, my God, it was a revelation.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. I really, really appreciate that.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, this is Queen Karishma. And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
Oh, what a joy it was to hear that again.
Yeah, I love that one. Here's a few selected birthdays for June 11th through June 11th through what? June 17th.
The rest of the week.
The rest of the week, 2018. June 11th, Peter Dinklage, Gene Wilder, Jacques Cousteau, who everybody remember of our age.
Oh, yes.
Remember Jacques Cousteau on National Geographic. And also we have birthdays of friends of the show, Christy Hartman and Jeff Lynne.
ELO.
No,
Wrong Jeff Lynne.
Wrong Jeff Lynne.
This is Jeff Lynne without an E at the end of the name.
Yes, and he was actually producer and helper on Focus.
Focus.
Short that we...
Wonderful little sci-fi short film.
Yeah. June 12th, Jim Neighbors, who is actually still living in Hawaii and just married his longtime partner.
Yeah.
So that was really great. Also on June 12th, Richard Sherman, part of the one of the Sherman brothers, who wrote lots and tons of music for
If you ever
Disney.
go into, any of the classic Disney movies, plus if you go into either Disneyland or Disney World, or maybe even some of the, like Japan or China, you will hear their music.
Yeah. On June 13th, Chris Evans.
Captain America.
And Paul Lynde.
Oh, does he have a captain?
I don't know if he has a captain, but you can tell the story.
Oh my goodness. Well,
the infamous story.
A good friend of ours, Al Lutz, he was crossing the street, right across from this grocery store, and this limo
in West Hollywood.
And he was in West Hollywood. This limo kind of pulls out, and he sees Paul Lynde come running out with like just boxes of cat food, and he's wearing a kaftan. And he stops. Al looks at him. Paul Lynde looks at Al, and Paul Lynde says, "I have to feed the kitties." And then he gets into the limo and drives off.
Yeah, and that you were famous on.
I told that story on the Frank DeCaro show, and for about a month, that became a meme.
I have to feed the kitties.
I have to feed the kitties. And Frank even said, "I don't know if that's true, but I want it to be true." I said, "Oh, trust me, it's true."
Yeah. Also on June 13th, Mary Wicks, character actress who did all kinds of things. She was, and then we have also Stellan Skarsgård and Malcolm McDowell. Also a friend of ours from Arizona Opera, Joshua Bortz. Jason Bortz. Joshua Bortz, who is the director of education and is also a wonderful
stage director himself. He did what I thought has to have been the best production of Barbara Seville.
Yeah, it was really great. June 14th, Burl Ives.
Ives?
Yes.
Ives?
Isn't it in the back of the throat? Ives. No, it's St. Ives.
Ives.
Burl Ives. There we go.
Boy, that was a reach.
Anyway.
Pulling out a Holy Grail reference and talking about Burl Ives, wow, that made my head hurt.
Burl Ives. Ives in the back of the throat. Yeah.
Ooh.
Also on June 14th, my cousin Kathy Falconberry. Happy birthday, Kathy. June 15th, Jim Varney, who was Ernest as well as a Slinky Dog. In the Pixar Toy Story movies and a bunch of other stuff. Neil Patrick Harris, Edvard Grieg, and Kobayashi Issa, who is the cousin of Kobayashi Maru. It's a fact. No. Kobayashi Issa was lived in the 1600s, I believe, and he was one of the originators of the haiku.
I've got nothing.
Yep. Also on June 15th, Matt Chesson, who actually directed...
He directed
The
Focus.
Jeff
Amazing.
Lynne, separated by a couple of days and birthdays. June 16th, Barbara Stanwyck. She was Big Valley, right?
Big Valley,
Big
yes.
Valley. And speaking of Big Valley, Geronimo.
Okay. Wow.
The Native American warrior chieftain. And also June 16th, Stan Laurel. June 17th, Barry Manilow.
Who recently also, I believe, married his, didn't I think he married
I believe so.
His longtime companion, who was also his agent.
Yeah, very interesting. Arthur Darvill, M.C. Escher. I'm really confused. Am I going up or am I going down?
Yes.
Yes. And Charles Gounod, who was a famed opera composer.
Klingon opera.
Yeah, Klingon opera. That's Gounod.
Oh, that's Gounod.
And also on June 17th, we rounded out with Igor Stravinsky. And that's the birthdays this time.
Hi, my name is Joe Hogan, and I'm a geek. And if you're currently listening to this, there's a good chance you're a geek too. So check out my podcast, Geektitude. Each week, I talk with somebody about their geek aptitude. Sometimes I talk to people in a geeky profession. Sometimes it's someone doing something really cool with their geekiness. Often it's another geeky podcaster. But it's always someone who wants to share their inner geek. So join me each week as we come together to geek out about all the geeky stuff we love. And remember, this week, keep it geek.
Go give a listen to our friend Joe over at Geektitude and keep it geek for this week. And now it's time for our fabulous feedback segment. We're going to call this fabulous feedback.
Is that what it's going to be called now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially since we have world famous news sushi on the website, we can have fabulous feedback.
Well, I suppose we could.
Or funky feedback.
Yeah.
Or
Take your pick.
Whatever.
Okay, starting off with episode 171, we had a comment from Arkle about that episode. I'm not going to repeat it. I will say that if you want to find it, go to our YouTube page and look up episode 171. You can find out what Arkle said. He had some comments regarding Ian Fleming's somewhat distasteful and misogynistic views towards women of that time.
Yeah. Ian Fleming was quite the misogynist. And
he was.
Didn't have quite the regard for women that...
No, and they cleaned up a lot of that for the movies. But yeah, Ian Fleming, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, and thank you for bringing it up. He did have some bad qualities to him, but be that as it may, at least they did try to clean it up. But even if you look at the early James Bond movies, Bond was not a very nice guy.
Yeah.
He also had a comment regarding the Happy Time Murders trailer, and it's a comment about his comment. He says, actually, I go into a little more in the debut episode of that show I mentioned in my interview, Rants vs. Zombies. But basically, my big problem with it is what in modern internet parlance is called too edgy 5U. Edge for edge's sake, basically. Making Captain America fascist during that, to put it kindly, ill-advised Secret Empire arc in the comics is a good example of that. Batman vs. Superman is another. Pretty much everything Frank Miller wrote after 9/11 is practically the poster child for too edgy 5U. And Happy Time Murders, a movie that easily could have succeeded on its own concept alone, looks to be going too edgy 5U, and I hate too edgy 5U.
Tell us how you really feel, Arkle.
Yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, what are you trying to say, Arkle?
What
I
are you
don't know.
trying to say?
And then we also ran a review. It was my review for a fun frolic of a ride with Solo, a Star Wars story. And got a comment from good friend Corey Nelson, and she says, good review. We loved the casting, including Woody Harrelson, and spot on about the feel in comparison to The New Hope. It was fun, exciting, just like old times, and I have to comment on that. When Episode 4 first came out to the theaters, when it was just simply Star Wars, Corey and I saw that movie over and over and over and over again. So it's fun that she should comment on that. Then we got a comment from Craig Stepp. He says, I admit it wasn't perfect, but I loved it. Chewie and Han seemed natural. Donald Glover at times sounded just like Billy D. Williams. Totally agree. And Hamish Downey says, I feel like I'm going to have to stick my fingers in my ears and say la 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 for the next few weeks, because Hamish lives in Japan, so they're not getting it right away. And I guess a friend of his, Jody Armstrong, responded with, yeah, you are. I enjoyed it I enjoyed it is all I will say. And Hamish replied to that saying, I'm glad you liked it. Lots of people seem to be saying that it's just serviceable. And then lastly, we had a press release on the LGBTQ focused streaming service Reverie launches channel on over-the-top platform Zumo. Yeah, it's a mouthful. And Hamish had a comment on that saying, my short film, Silence, is supposed to be on their Reverie service at some point. They have podcasts, so it might be worthwhile looking into putting your podcast with them. Though, if my experience is standard, it will take a while to get on the platform. And that is our feedback for this time.
Yeah, if you want to comment on anything that we publish on tggeeks.com, or you want to comment on any webcast episode, you can do that. And you could do that either on Facebook at TG Squared Studios, and any of the articles, anything that we publish there on Facebook, as well as Twitter, and also at tggeeks.com. At the end of every article and every webcast episode, we have a comment section. And remember, when you comment, please play nice. It's in the terms of service. If you don't, we're going to delete your comment or we're going to edit it. So please play nice. And that's not meant to be mean. It's just because we've had some rather unsavory comments in the past. So if you wanted to leave a comment, do that. You can also call us and leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS, and we could probably play that on air. It's 469-844-3357.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Wow! That was abrupt.
You always complain about it, so...
Well, I was watching. I didn't know what kind of game you're going to be playing with this time. Anyway, got a few things we want to chat about.
Just a couple of
Got
things.
a couple of movies that are coming out pretty soon that we're very, very interested in.
Yes,
Incredibles 2, for starters, and we got a press screening coming up on that.
Yay!
Very, very soon. And actually, let me think. By the time this episode comes out, we might have actually seen it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time this episode comes out, not only will we have seen it, but we could. It's possible that our review may have come out for it already.
Yeah, it
Again,
depends on when the embargo is
Yeah,
lifted, so.
yeah. We're recording this a week early, so we don't know. But yeah, terribly excited about this. It took a lot of years for this movie to see fruition, but I think Pixar's got this motto now that they won't do a film, they won't do a sequel before it's time. I mean, story comes first. They've had a couple of misfires when it comes to sequels, and I think they really wanted to make sure that they got this one just right. So I'm really, really excited about it. Speaking of sequels, Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's coming out pretty soon, too. This one, don't know quite what to think about it. Trailers make it seem a bit somber, almost.
Yeah.
Except for the giant Hello Kitty Pez dispenser.
Oh, something. A news article just came on the RSS feed. William Phipps, who played Prince Charming in Cinderella and a sci-fi film star, he died at the age of 96.
Oh, my word.
So he... let's see what else he did.
So we're talking about the original Disney Cinderella?
Yep. And he was War of the Worlds, Invaders from Mars, and 1953's Catwomen of the Moon.
Oh, my.
And 1954's The Snow Creature. So, and he was also, like I said, the voice of Prince Charming. He died.
Yeah, the voice of, okay, so we're talking Cinderella. Ah, yes. So, yeah, 96, that'd be about right.
Yep.
He didn't have much to speak in that movie.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, sorry, it just popped
Just
up
hit
in
the
the
feed.
RSS feed. Yeah.
Okay. Also, something, now speaking of hitting the news feeds, we got a really interesting little press release
Yeah.
about Phoenix Fan Fest.
Yeah, Phoenix Fan Fest, which was normally their
fall event.
Fall event, they have canceled that.
And why did they have it in the first place?
Well, the original intent and thought was to have a time of year in Phoenix, Arizona, that cosplayers could really shine and not render out in the heat.
Right.
So that was the whole idea. Originally, it was in December. The first 2 years.
First 2 years were in December.
And, when the weather was really nice, and then people complained about that, and so they moved it up into first part of
October, November.
October, November, and then,
And that's where it sat.
Yeah, and they said that they canceled it because it didn't quite find its footing and, all that. So they decided to put all of their eggs in one basket for Phoenix Fan Fusion in the summer or Memorial Day weekend. Anyway.
Right. So no more Fan Fest. We'll have to see if this is a good thing or not. We just don't know yet.
Yeah.
But speaking of Fan Fusions,
they
there's one
also
coming up in Vegas.
They have a new show that they're going to do up in Las Vegas, Nevada. Vegas Fan Fusion, and that's in September.
They haven't announced guests yet, have they?
No, they have not.
They're about to.
I think it's today. They're going to start today or tomorrow.
Right, but any day now they're going to start announcing guests. And as soon as we know anything, I'm sure we'll
as of this recording.
Yeah, as of this recording. And as soon as we know anything, we will do our best to get that out there on our website at tggeeks.com. And lastly, a local convention, CocoCon.
Yeah, it's a convention that is a smash up of what was it, CopperCon?
Well, CopperCon, which was the big fall event.
CocoPeliCon.
I guess CocoPeliCon. I don't know what CocoPeliCon was.
Yeah,
I have no idea. But
I don't either.
CopperCon was a big thing that was put on by a local organization called CASFIS here in Phoenix. And it was quite the big media
Central
event.
Arizona Speculative Fiction Society.
Very good. I'm impressed. So, yeah, that CopperCon had been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, in fact, right after we met.
Right after we met, you actually attended I guess that'd be your first CopperCon.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I was working
years ago.
working in the video room, and Keith and I were at that point affiliated with a local Doctor Who fan group called TARDIS, so we had some contribution there, and they got some good media guests from time to time, and some good literary guests as well. I mean, so it's a nice event. So it'll be interesting to see how this mashup of CocoPeliCon and CopperCon is going to go. But yeah, we got CocoCon, and when is that?
That is Labor Day weekend, and it's held at the Doubletree by Hilton at by Hilton, Phoenix North, and that's on Metro Parkway, 10220 North Metro Parkway East. And they have, where was it? Oh, shoot. They got a couple of guests. They've got Harry Turtledove and Steve Rude, as well as Cheshire Moon and Beth Cato and Eric Weil, who is gaming guest of honor. Beth Cato is the local author guest of honor. And there's several other people that they're going to have there, and lots of programming and wonderful artistic things going on.
And we're looking to be there.
Yeah, we're going to probably rent a hotel room and just drive up a few blocks and set up the hotel, our studio in the hotel, and do some interviews from the hotel. So that's going to be Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have fun. And let's see, what do we got here?
No weekly review. And why is that?
Because we don't know.
We have no idea what we're printing because it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened, and we're good a week ahead of time. So here we are. If you want to check out our website,
Please check it
tggeeks.com,
out.
please do, because
We have a lot of content that is being published on a daily basis, so please check out tggeeks.com.
Yeah, and as always, we have follow-up items. Check out our calendar on the website. We have lots of things on there. And there are several new books for pre-order. Beth Cato's Roar of Sky, and in 24 hours, The Last Sun will no longer be a pre-order. It will be order, as we said. And check out the Kickstarter for Mighty Aphrodite, the brainchild of Gene Turnbow of Krypton Radio. Mighty Aphrodite webseries.com. We're going to have an interview, I think, next week.
I think next week, yes.
Yeah. Arizona Opera has finished its season. However, the next season, which begins in October, is pretty incredible. So check out azopera.org. And as everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, or writers. Please support the independent creators that you come across. Buy their stuff, contribute to their Kickstarter campaigns or their Indiegogo campaigns, or buy their stuff.
There's a lot of great talent out there.
Yep.
Special shout out to Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter. They publish the Doctor Who Fancast Guide, which republishes many of our stories. You can find them by going to Twitter and searching @Talking Who. Also, Michael C. Burgess on Twitter. He is known as Byronic, @Byronic, and he has the Byronic's Semi-Journal Aggregator. That also republishes our content. You can find him on Twitter by finding @Byronic. That is BYRONIK. Also, you heard feedback earlier from Arkle. He, on Twitter, is known as the Human Arkle and has the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News, which also republishes our content. That's why we're giving them all their shout-outs, because they republish our stuff. And you can find him by going to Twitter @Arkle. That is ARKLE. And speaking of Arkle, he is on Tumblr with the Incorrect Star Trek Voyager quotes. Check it out. There's some really funny content there. Some of it is just completely outrageous.
And he's also got his YouTube channel of the Shameless Cash Grab.
Oh, yeah, Shameless. Yeah, we need to put the links in there as well.
Yeah.
We need to get that. And then we also need to do a special shout-out to the Gay Geek. They are on Facebook for allowing us to post our episodes on their page. It's a really great group. It's a closed group, so you'll need to sign up for it. But so long as you play nice, those are our two favorite words, they will have no problem approving you, regardless of your walk in life. So check out the Gay Geek. It's facebook.com/group/the Gay Geek. And special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Rees, for allowing us to share our content there.
Yeah, we recorded 2 episodes today, so we're a little tongue-tied.
A little worn out.
And brain dead at the moment. And we want to remind you to occasionally click on our Amazon ads, whether it's pre-orders that we have on the books on the side of the page or other things that we have. Please do that. It just kind of gives us a little traction with Amazon, and if you do decide to buy something, do it through one of our search ads. That way we might get a little kickback. You never know. And check us out on iHeartRadio and rate us and review us on iTunes and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You never know what's going to happen. So that's it. We're going to have Gene Turnbow of Krypton Radio talking about Mighty Aphrodite, his new web series. So check it out next time. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article on this for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.
And carrots.